Welcome to a informal chat about the Litton 72 platform assembly. I've had this lying around for 30 years now. I spent 30 years working on these and becoming a specialist. Worked in defence, became the specialist there, and then worked in London as the specialist for Europe and the Middle East. So this platform was fitted to the Litton 72 Inertial navigation unit, which was manufactured back in the 70s and 80s. Old mechanical system. That's it there. Hope you can see. Comes in different variants. The Litton 72, the base 72 made in the 70s, and then the 72R, which is a radio nav system. And then they went on from there to the RN and RH versions. Fitted to a large number of Boeing aircraft, 747s, 707s, 727s, McDonnell Douglas DC-10s, MD-80s, and defence aircraft, C-130s, and also this was also fitted to the F-18 Hornets as a gimbal assembly because it's a fully aerobatic gimbal system. As you can see, it's got full 360 roll, 360 in azimuth, and it's got 110 in pitch. So what it would do if the aircraft was doing a loop, it would go to 90, do a gimbal flip, and then carry on around. So if you're in the aircraft, you'd just see the flight director move up, and then as it approached the top, it would flip and then come back down. So it was pretty seamless, and it did work. It's got 15 degrees of inner roll as well. So what we're going to do here is whole aim of the game is to strip it down a bit. We'll take out the cluster itself, the guidance cluster, and then strip that down to show the upper gyro, lower gyro, and the two accelerometers. This one's got an X and a Y accelerometer. Some did have a third Z for measuring vertical acceleration, but generally they had two. So this one has been sitting around for 30 years and it doesn't sound the best. Plus it's also been a crash. It came out of the P3 Orion that went down off the coast of Australia and was saved, and I was given this as a memento on leaving the defence. So the outer roll is pretty good. You can just move it with one finger. It does continues a roll that is pretty good for the age, but the azimuth, there's a lot of noise there on the bearings and the talker assemblies. That's a bit raunchy. That wouldn't work at all well. There'd be a lot of inherent drift in that. Pitch is poor. I can hear the talkers grinding. So that's it for that. Servo board is this round circuit board. Always causes lots of grief. If you ever get a DS2, which is a failure shown on the outer side of the inertial navigation unit, the DS2 related to a servo no-go. Because this is more of an analog circuitry, it failed a lot. This one is actually a -08 mod. So this is a very old card. When they went to -09, they had more problems, and then -10, even more problems. 11 and 12 just kept getting worse. They sacked the guy, then brought another guy in, and he brought it up to a -13, and that fixed most of the problems. Very expensive. So if you've got a -13 on your gimbal, it should be okay. -08 should be okay. Anything in between is going to cause lots of problems. So what we're going to do is first take off the thermal shroud, which is just this top cover here, and then we can see the gyroscopes inside. And I don't have the right tools, but we'll see how we go. It'll take a bit longer. Let's just zoom up and get this top shroud off. Three hex nuts, hex screws. These were tightened to 2.5 inch pounds originally, just beyond finger tight. Before I do take this off, I'll show you the underside, and that will show you the azimuth slip ring before it gets unbalanced and we start removing the weight. Pitch synchro, pitch torquer. We'll have a close look when we take it all out. That's the azimuth slip ring. So as you can see, if I twist the azimuth, these rarely failed. They usually lasted a good 15 years before they had problems, if they were in constant use. Okay. Then we'll shroud off, and now we can see X accelerometer for pitch, Y accelerometer, and upper gyroscope. So what we're going to do is we'll take out the whole cluster. And it's 4 screws. These are done to about 3.5 inch pounds when they're done up correctly. If I was doing this in the workshop, I'd have full gloves on, and this would be done in a dust-free environment. Just a general workshop, not the full-on laminar flow room like you see in NASA. Just a workshop with a dust-free workbench, or a laminar flow bench is what I used to work on. So there's 4 screws that hold it in. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 master plug. It'll be the smaller Allen key. And these plugs are done to 1.6 inch pounds at factory, which is less than finger tight. Okay, that's released now. So usually we have a special tool to get this out, 3 prongs which go in. I'm going to try and do it by hand, see how we go. This is not the way to do it. I'd get in big trouble if I was doing this on a real one. This ain't going to be flying ever again. There is the gimbal cluster. And this one is a rare one because it has a third accelerometer. Usually there's a weight there just to compensate for the not having accelerometer. So it does the vertical accelerations, pitch accelerations, roll accelerations, lower gyroscope. So what we'll do is we'll take off the top gyroscope and it will come up as a cluster because these are tied together. This has still got the original Litton wax ties. So we'll take off the top gyro and the two accelerometers as a group, and then you can see how to access the lower gyroscope. And just for reference, this is the platform assembly guide. If you ever want to do it yourself, but you're going to need a lot of specialist tools, which I don't think you'll find anywhere in the world anymore, because this is 1960s and 1970s technology. Okay. So in here, hopefully, you can see the pitch synchros. That's the pitch synchro in there. And let's tilt it up. There's the azimuth sip ring. Bit dark. In there. Thermistor, temperature control. And I'll spin it around and we can see the pitch talker. That's the pitch talker there. So at turn on, all the talker does is it drives it to a level, and that's all it does. And then when it's level, it just switches off and the gyros will run up, and then the gyroscopes will keep it level. Same with every talker. Roll, inner roll, pitch, and azimuth. They only work when you first turn on, and that just gets it to a local level. Gyros run up, and then they switch off, and then it's the gyroscopes that are in control. Okay, hopefully that's nice, and we'll just middle that. And we'll take off this cluster. Again, it's just each accelerometer has a little plug. Top gyro. And when you're reinstalling these, it's less than finger pressure to install them. It was just a little twist, and if it ever stopped, you stopped, because obviously there was a problem going on with the gold pins. Whether it was trying to push one of these pins in, so you stop, take out, check every pin, check to make sure all these are even, give it another go. Can't afford to damage a plug, because it's a day's work to replace a plug. So that's all three connectors undone. They're only done to 1.6 inch-pounds when they're done back up. Hopefully I've got correct. Yep. And 3 screws to undo. These are done to about 4 inch-pounds with a bit of Loctite 222 when we install these. And I'll just undo 2. As you can see, it's got the maple leaf on top, because these gyroscopes are made by Litton in Canada. All gyroscopes are made by Litton, Canada. That's 2 done. And down here, there's 2 pins. And between the pin and the base of the gyroscope is 15 thou tolerance clearance. So when we reinstall this, we had to get a thickness gauge of 15 thou, jam it in there, and then tighten it up. That allows for any expansion issues that it doesn't cause. It doesn't knock against the pins when it's expanding, because these operate at around 90 degrees C gyroscopes. They love to operate hot. When you're running a Litton 72, it's best to turn it on for a couple of minutes, wait for it to get hot, turn it off, and then restart it, and the drift rates will be much improved. So with those 3 undone, this should just lift off. Ooh, still a bit more on this one. Again, we wouldn't be touching these. Finger oils create hot spots on gyros, and it causes a world of problems. So that's the top gyro, and both accelerometers come off, and they again will be released just with 2 screws. And then now you have access to the bottom gyro. Again, 3 screws and 1 gyro plug, this one here, and that will come away. There's the accelerometer, and attached to the bottom gyro is a little circuit board called a nutation damper. It never fails. The same with this ring, this never fails either. And one of the most important things, if I turn this over, screws are going to fall out. Is the calibration data on the back of the gyroscope. This data is very important, if I can focus. There we go. Those numbers will be fed into the computer to help stabilize the gyroscope. Every gyro is different, and there's a special calculation to convert those into an octal format. This computer runs on octal, so all the biasing of all the gyroscopes has to be done in octal, and you'll see that label on the front of the inertial navigation unit. That label is extremely important. You need those numbers, because if you get a bias wipe, which quite often happens, you can then reinsert those numbers, and the INU will fire back up and align properly. Without those numbers, you're lost. You won't be able to align the unit. you will never get a ready nav light on the MSU. So that is basically that. We've gone through upper gyro, X and Y accelerometers. We've got a vertical accelerometer and the lower gyro in the cluster. So that's it. If you have any questions, just leave them below, and I'll throw this video up on YouTube, and hopefully some people will get some enjoyment out of it. Thanks for watching.